Now, Arkansas's most watched sports show, Hooten's Arkansas Football.
It's the first round of Arkansas's high school football playoffs. What a great night of Arkansas high school football in the first round. We've got highlights coming up on Hooten's Arkansas Football. Today, we're at the Marketplace Grill, a great place to eat on a playoff football weekend. We'll tell you about some of their lunch and menu items, dinner menu items coming up in just a little bit here on Hooten's Arkansas Football. But first, highlights from the first round of the playoffs, brought to you by Twin City Bank.
We'll begin with old 7A West rivals Fort Smith Northside and Russellville. In Russellville, first round of the playoffs. Cyclones are up 3-0, but here comes Northside. Junior quarterback Dax Dupree taking off on the run and keeping the drive alive. He's inside the 30. Then Dupree goes up top. He passed for 236 yards and 3 touchdowns, including 2 to Chad Morton, and Northside's up 6-3. But the Cyclones storm back. Russellville senior quarterback Blake Humphrey hits Derek Owens for the first down. Owens caught 10 passes for 139 yards, and the duo hook up again a little bit later. Humphrey on the fade route to Owens for the touchdown. That gives Russellville a 10-6 lead just before halftime, and this one came down to the wire. Northside was actually up 20-10 with less than 5 minutes left, but Russellville scores 2 quick touchdowns and advances to the semis for the first time since 2002. Final score, Russellville 24, Fort Smith Northside 20. The Cabot Panthers in Springdale to take on Harbor High, and Harbor's defense playing very well held Cabot to less than 200 yards in the game. A bit of a surprise there. Harbor's offense, no surprise. Patrick Cagney threw 2 touchdown passes, this one to Josh Borner. This is only the second year of football for Harbor, the new school in Springdale. The defense holds again, and here's another Harbor quarterback, Zach Faust, going deep to Derek Sanders, 47-yard touchdown. Final score, Harbor 35, Cabot 14. 7A Central champ Bryant playing host to number 4 seed Fayetteville in the first round of the playoffs for the second year in a row. This one played in a fog, and on Fayetteville's first drive, quarterback Blake McDonald hooking up with Michael Boland between 3 defenders. That's a Fayetteville first down. A couple of plays later, though, McDonald throws one of his 4 interceptions. This one picked off by Bryant sophomore Stanley Oxner. Neither team could score in the first quarter. Bryant would strike first in the second. Logan Parker throwing the ball up for grabs. Tim Floyd gets his arm around it, falling into the end zone. That gave Bryant a 7-0 advantage. But just seconds before halftime, Fayetteville answers. McDonald throws his only TD pass in the game. That tied it at 7 at halftime. Hootens.com had Fayetteville favored by 1, and the Purple Dogs pulled it out, scoring a touchdown with 58 seconds left. Final score, Fayetteville 30, Bryant 24. Here's Hooters.com Class 7A rankings as we head for the semifinals. Bentonville is still on top. The Tigers are the only team in the semis that have advanced to War Memorial Stadium, so somebody's going to play in their first state championship game. Harbor, Fayetteville, and Russellville have never made it to Little Rock. Next Friday, Harbor will play host to the Cyclones, and Fayetteville gets a rematch with Bentonville. The Tigers won at Fayetteville earlier this year. Bryant's season is over. The Hornets finish 8-2-1 with arguably the best team in school history. Little Rock Catholic had a great game plan and played its guts out at Bentonville. The Rockets finished the year 6-5. Northside blew that big lead at Russellville and finishes number 7. Rogers stays at 8, and Cabot's season is over with the 7-4 mark. The Panthers will be hard to handle next year. We'll begin our Class 6A highlights in Piercy, where number 2 Lake Hamilton's playing host to the Marion Patriots. Lake Hamilton looking for his first playoff win since 1998. And junior quarterback Phillip Butterfield had a big night for Lake Hamilton, passing for 284 yards and 4 touchdowns. David Church with a nice run after the catch, and Church also ran for the Wolves' first touchdown of the third quarter. Lake Hamilton was up 27-7. They added 10 more in the fourth quarter and avenged a 32-point loss to Marion in last year's playoffs. Final score, undefeated Lake Hamilton 37, Marion 7. The Sylvan Hills Bears riding a 6-game winning streak, playing host to El Dorado, and Sylvan Hills senior quarterback Hunter Miller hooks up with Deontay Davis, and Deontay's got room down the sidelines, 64-yard gain. He gets inside the 5. Miller will finish it from there. He rushed for 100 yards, including this touchdown. Sylvan Hills 7, El Dorado 0. Miller also passed for 174 yards, including this bomb to Mark Turpin. Sylvan Hills never trailed. The final score, Bears 28, El Dorado 21. Here's Hootens.com Class 6A rankings. There are no changes at the top. West Memphis remains Hootens.com #1 ranked team after beating Sheridan 47-3 on Friday. Next week, the Blue Devils get a chance at payback against defending state champ Texarkana. West Memphis lost at Texarkana last November. Lake Hamilton remains at #2 and will play host to Sylvan Hills on Friday. The Bears have won 7 straight after winning their first playoff game since 2002. And Hootens.com cameras will follow the Bears to Piercy next Friday. The second 5 starts with Sheridan. The Yellow Jackets have made consecutive playoff trips. Forest City was one of the bigger surprises in the state this year. The Mustangs made the playoffs even though coaches voted them to finish 7th in the conference. Coming up next, it's more of Hooten's Arkansas football. Class 5A highlights are next.
Now, more of Hooten's Arkansas football, brought to you by Sonic.
Undefeated Little Rock Christian all fired up to be playing host to a playoff game for the first time in school history, taking on the Nettleton Raiders, and that is super sophomore Michael Dyer. Little Rock Christian's go-to guy. He rushed for 170 yards on the night, including this 53-yard touchdown early on. Christian 7, Nettleton 0. But Nettleton comes back with my man Matt Akers getting loose down the sidelines. That's a nice game for the Raiders, and a few plays later, Nettleton's Blake Johnson will sneak it in. That tied it up at 7. Remember, Nettleton made it to the semis last year, but here comes Christian again. This time through the air, Griffin Kuhn finds his money man, Tyler Weddle. 70-yard Little Rock Christian touchdown, and the Warriors remain undefeated. Final score, Little Rock Christian 42, Nettleton 21. At Pulaski Academy, the Bruins wearing the blue, playing host to Magnolia. The Panthers looking for their first playoff win in a decade, and looking good early. That's Sonic super teamer Eric Jones going the distance for the touchdown. Magnolia up 7-0, but Pulaski Academy comes back. Spencer Keith threw 4 touchdown passes on the night. The first one to Tyler Birch. PA scored the 2-point conversion. It was 8-7. And a little later, it's Pulaski Academy's DJ Daniels with the touchdown scramble. And the Bruins cruise. Next week, it's a rematch of last year's 5A title game with Greenwood. Final score, PA 49, Magnolia 25. Here's Hootens.com Class 5A rankings. Camden Fairview stays at #1 after beating Pulaski Robinson by 48 points in the first round. There's Little Rock Christian and Greenwood. PA's #4, and they'll play host to Greenwood next week in Little Rock. Siloam Springs was one of the 4 teams out of the West to win. They pummeled Batesville in the first round. Bologna, another team out of the West, dominated Blytheville. And how about the Monticello Billies? They've won 10 games this year and traveled to Little Rock Christian next week in the quarterfinals. Then it's West Helena, followed by 3 teams from the East. Blytheville, Batesville, and Beebe all lost their playoff games to teams from the West by a total of 124-59. Ouch. Hope it's 12, then it's Hot Springs. Harrison didn't make the playoffs, but as the playoffs show, they played against some tough competition in the West. Nettleton finishes the year at #16. Then it's Robinson, Crossett, Lakeside, and Malvern, which had Class 5A's leading rusher, but the Leopards haven't been to the playoffs since 2000.
Now, more of Hooten's Arkansas football, brought to you by Big Red Stores.
Team. That's what we do. That's what we are. And that's why we'll win this ballgame tonight. If you play discipline and you play hard and by golly you play together and have some trust that that's what it takes, there's no way you will come out a loser.
The Dardanelle Sand Lizards playing host to a playoff game for only the second time in 2 decades, and Dardanelle has its hands full with Coach Chris Vereen and his improved the Queen Leopards, and it had a lot to do with this guy. He's just a sophomore. The Queen running back Greg White, 6'2", 205 pounds. How about some more White? He can also take it between the tackles. White rushed for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns Friday night for the Queen, but the Queen's opening drive stall, and here comes the Dardanelle Sand Lizards. Dardanelle standout quarterback Kendall Pinckney, he accounted for 270 yards offense Friday night. That's junior Mark Haney with the catch. Dardanelle trailed the Queen late, but Pinckney scored with 23 seconds left, and the Sand Lizards advance. Final score, Dardanelle 34, the Queen 27. Clarksville coach Michael Banning and his Panthers just squeaked into the playoffs, and they had a tough draw at Lone Oak. Look at the Purple Jackrabbits swarming Clarksville quarterback Cameron Looper. Lone Oak is sacked Clarksville 7 times Friday night, while the Roanoke offense ran wild for 440 yards. Brandon Smith, number 5, carried 10 times for 103 yards. His run sets up Roanoke's last touchdown of the night. It's number 2, Michael Howard, cutting back and getting a nice block from Daniel Smith to score. Howard carried just 7 times for 61 yards. Roanoke was up only by 12 at halftime before exploding in the second half. Final score, Roanoke 48, Clarksville 20. At Stuttgart, the Ricebirds playing host to the Fountain Lake Cobras. Fountain Lake quarterback Cody Brashears scrambling and firing to Jonathan Richards for the touchdown early. That capped a 73-yard drive to start the game. Fountain Lake looking for its first playoff win in 20 years and up 7-0. But the Ricebirds respond. Senior quarterback Seth Allison, oh yeah, he's healthy again and he's gone. Allison had 14 carries on the night, 173 yards, and we're blowing kisses again in Arkansas County. It would stay tied at 7 until a minute left in the first half. That's when Fountain Lake's Brashears gets loose, coming right at the Hootens.com camera. Look out. Brashears is out at the 1. Fountain Lake's Andrew Davis will score to give the Cobras a 14-7 lead at intermission. Fountain Lake led by 2 touchdowns in the second half, but Allison would score 2 more TDs for Stuttgart, including the game winner with 22 seconds left. Final score, Stuttgart 35, Fountain Lake 34. At Dollarway, the Cardinals in the playoffs for the 25th time, playing host to Valley View in only its second year of football. And look at Dollarway's Billy Lee on the punt return. This guy is a 4-year starter for Dollarway, and he's got a 55-yard punt return. That would set up Dollarway's Jesse Grandy, who's going to make more Valley View Blazers grab some air before reversing his field and getting into the end zone. As expected, this one was no contest. Final score, Dollarway 62, Valley View 13. Here's Hooten.com Class 4A rankings. No changes at the top. Warren, Newport, and CAC all had byes on Friday night, and all will play at home next week. Nashville's number 4, and Dumas checks in at number 5. The Bobcats hung 60 points on Prairie Grove in the first round, but must travel to Newport next Friday. Ozark starts the second 5, and there's Dollarway. The Cardinals breezed past Valley View on Friday and travel to Farmington next week. There's Lone Oak and Stuttgart. The Gravette Lions will play host to Lone Oak next week. Highland had the night off. Will play host to number 14 Dardanelle next week. Then it's Osceola, Farmington, Dardanelle, and Pocahontas, which won its 5th playoff game this decade by beating Greenland on Friday. Boone will beat Mariana 7-0 in the first round, but must travel to Nashville next week. Fountain Lake lost, but moves up 3 spots after taking Stuttgart to the wire. Then it's Prairie Grove and Gosnell, which played with Nashville for a half, but lost by 20 points.
Now, more of Hooten's Arkansas football, brought to you by Sonic.
You deserve to be here. You deserve to be here. This is your time. Like I said, nobody's giving you a shot. Nobody's giving you a chance. Fellas, we have no reason not to be confident. Guys, I think we played in the toughest conference in this state, in AAA. We played better teams than them, and we played with them. It's time tonight to beat one of those suckers.
The Pottsville Apaches making their first playoff appearance Friday night at Harding Academy. The Wildcats in the playoffs for the 25th time in 38 years, but Pottsville looks like the playoff veteran. Senior Jacob Irwin plowing ahead for 11 yards. The Apaches running right at Harding Academy. Sophomore Tyler Robinson with the tough run for a Pottsville first down, and that led to this 6-yard touchdown run. It's Irwin getting in the end zone, and Pottsville's up 7-0 on Harding Academy. But the Wildcats come back. The Wildcats ran for 6 TDs in the second half. J.T. Fisher running hard, had 2 of them as Harding Academy comes back to down Pottsville. Next week, the Wildcats face Coach Josh Floyd and Shiloh Christian. Final score, Harding Academy 47, Pottsville 28.
Kevin! Watch that face!
From Searcy to Atkins, the number 12 Atkins Red Devils looking for their first playoff win since 2004, taking on the number 18 ranked Perryville Mustangs. At Atkins was bringing it on defense Friday night. The Red Devils stringing it out, and their senior Paul Meeks with the takedown. The Atkins defense also forced 2 turnovers. The Red Devils didn't need a whole lot of help. They were up 29-0 in the third quarter, and on offense, it starts with this guy, Atkins' Sonic Super Teamer, Terrence Bobo. He rushed for 221 yards on the night, scored 3 first-half touchdowns, and in the third quarter, Atkins tried to invoke the mercy rule here. Red Devils going deep, but Perryville can play some D2. Sophomore Clint Munn with the sweep kick in the end zone, but Perryville never got untracked, and the Atkins Red Devils are headed for Prescott in the second round. Final score, Atkins 29, Perryville 0.
They just keep getting bigger and better. All right? I don't care who we line up against. We don't know who it is yet. They've got a final on the ball game.
Prescott.
Do we have a final on the ball game? Prescott. All right. All right, let's go to Prescott.
Our line just fired off all night, and our running back, Terrence Bobo, he just hit the whole hard.
Here's Hooten.com Class 3A rankings. No changes in the top 5. Number 1, Shiloh will play host to Harding Academy next week. Shiloh beat Harding 40-7 in the semis last season. Bauxite has won 7 in a row and plays host to Mayflower in the second round. Marshall is undefeated for the first time in school history, but may be underdogs next week against Glen Rose. Corning had a first-round bye. The Bobcats will make just their second playoff appearance since 1996 when Lavaca comes calling next Friday. Number 6, Glen Rose beat Cedarville 63-22. There's Gurdon at 7. Hoxie beat Gurdon 19-6 in the first round last season. They'll play again next week. Harding Academy will be heavy underdogs at Shiloh. Hoxie beat England 37-7 in the first round. Number 11, Lavaca bombed Center Point 49-13. There's Atkins and Mayflower trampled Lafayette County 36-0. Mountainburg and Risen will meet in the second round, with Risen eyeing a quarterfinal date at Charleston. And Green Forest ended Harrisburg's season with a 7-6 win over the Hornets.
Let's show them what we're really about this time. We beat them once, but guys, this is different. This playoffs, they're not going to lay down.
Undefeated Mount Ida beat Danville 29-13 the fourth week of the season. Friday night they meet again. Mount Ida's first possession, senior quarterback Taylor Elder avoids the rush, unloads. It bounces off Danville's Kelvin Sierra, and there's Mount Ida's Troy Thew. Danville Sierra and Leroy Ruiz finally drag him down. 59-yard game. Thew caught balls for 90 yards of yardage Friday night. A couple of plays later, Elder takes it around the end. Mount Ida 7, Danville 0. The Little Johns come back with senior running back Trent Davis taking the pitch from Ruiz, and he's loose. Davis led Danville with more than 200 yards rushing Friday night, but the Little Johns would turn it over. And here comes Mount Ida with Elder again, passing to Thew again, and he goes more than 25 yards. Mount Ida was up 33-6 at halftime. The final, Mount Ida 45, Danville Little Johns 20. The Derricks Outlaws with what looked like a good playoff draw at underdog Augusta, but Augusta forced 6 turnovers Friday night. The Red Devils almost get one there, and on the next play, the pass from Drew Walston is intercepted by Augusta's senior Sherrod Shockley. Augusta picked off 3 passes Friday night. The Red Devils trailed 7-0 early, but scored 28 unanswered points with guys like Brandon Moore running the ball hard for the Red Devils, and Augusta arrests the Outlaws with barely a scuffle. Final score, Augusta 28, Derricks 7. At Carlisle, the Bison in the black against the Marvel Mustangs. And this one was all Carlisle. The Bison bulled their way to the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2002. Zach Brown getting good yardage there. Marvel had its moments, though. Watch 280-pound Chris Rand venting some frustration with the sack. Next week, Carlisle heads to Mountain Pine. Final score, Carlisle 36, Marvel 8. We close Class 2A with a thriller at Des Arts. Ola is up on Des Arts 21-14 in the third quarter, but Des Arts threatening at the 11 with Nathan Holloway throwing to the end zone, but Ola's sophomore Clay Damon knocks it away. That's a big play, and we're headed for a fantastic finish in the fourth quarter. Ola still on top, 21-14.
You gotta get us that gun stuff, man.
Desert coach Tim Harper looking for a stop, but Ola ran for 242 yards Friday night, and the Mustangs were able to ground up most of the fourth quarter. Toby King gets wide for a critical first down. Desert would eventually get it stopped, and the Eagles march downfield looking to win this thing. Down by one, Holloway passes to 6'3" Ron Metcalf. Metcalf owns a 9-inch height advantage over Ola's Will King, and you see the result. Metcalf gets the touchdown. It's 21-20. Desart going for the win, and Holloway runs in for the two-point conversion, but hold everything, Desart. Illegal motion that's coming back. Desart with another shot, this time from the 7-yard line. Holloway throwing it up for Metcalf, but this time Will King tips it, and Metcalf catches it out of bounds, and the Ola Mustangs win their first ever playoff game. Final score, Ola 21, Desart 20.
We work together. We do everything together. It's heart, it's soul, and you made history, baby.
The top 5 in Hootens.com Class 2A rankings stay the same. Number 1, Bearden had a first-round bye. Junction City handled Hazen 45-0. Mount Ida quarterback Taylor Elder completed 7 passes for 242 yards, a couple of touchdowns. The Lions dominate Danville from the get-go, 45-20 the final there. Number 4, Murfreesboro shreds Magazine 49-12, and Murfreesboro's passing attack could challenge Bearden next week. Earl will play for the first time in 3 weeks when defending state champ Jesseville travels to the Delta next week. Number 6, Carlisle is headed to number 8, Mountain Pine, and number 7, Strong is headed for number 9, Mark Tree. And at number 10, how about those Augusta Red Devils pulling off one of the bigger upsets in 2A Friday night by whipping a Derrick's team that hung with Mount Ida just 3 weeks ago. Derrick starts the second 10, followed by Jesseville, Woodlawn, and Ola. Ola's Tyler King ran 6 yards for a score and collected 9 tackles against Desart. Spring Hill, Danville, Hackett, Desart, and Clarendon round out the top 20. For our State Farm Play of the Week, we take you back to Desart. The Eagles down by 1 against Ola, but Desart going for 2 in the final seconds. Nathan Holloway passes to the back of the end zone, but Ola's Will King tips it, and Desart's Ron Metcalf catches it out of the back of the end zone. That gives Ola a 1-point win and its first playoff victory in school history. That's our State Farm Play of the Week. Coming up in less than a month, we'll be naming a State Farm Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year for every classification at the State Farm Awards on December the 10th.